The signing of a $2.5 billion letter of intent between the Nigerian government and the GBSSA, a Brazilian company and one of the top 3 largest meat processing companies in the world. The president was accompanied on a trip by senior government officials, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, and many others. The House of Representatives Committee on Polytechnics and Other Higher Technical Education has at an oversight session criticized Federal Polytechnic Damaturu for citing insecurity as an excuse for poor management of internally generated revenue (IGR) and non-compliance with federal character in employment. The committee, chaired by Honorable Fuad Laguda, who was represented by Honorable Emile Nyang, noted that while the institution claimed reduced student intake due to insurgency, its spending profile remained disproportionately high. Acting Rector Dr. Ibrahim Babale Gashua explained that insecurity had impacted operations, but the committee dismissed this as insufficient justification for the discrepancies. Federal Polytechnic Mubi was also faulted for failing to complete staff quarters and administrative block projects despite repeated budget allocations. Honorable Emile Nyang, representing the chairman, expressed frustration over the abandoned project and directed the rector to submit a detailed report on all uncompleted projects within a week. Similarly, Federal Polytechnic Munguno faced accusations of skewed employment practices favoring specific regions, violating federal character principles.
Necessarily to find and victimize faults and victimize you based on your faults is to collaborate and make you know where you are going wrong. When federal character calls you, then you will know the implication of what you have been doing. When public accounts calls you, I'm sure then you will be going with all sorts of begging.
Sorry sir, let's speak to this document. Because you can't be taking this remote. You are saying people flee. But your personnel, they flee. You have staff almost 1.7 billion.
The committee is bothered about is the fact that you've not been able to convince us. We spent close to 2 billion on payment of salaries and overhead annually, and all you can generate is that meager amount of money. You need to convince us the justification of further disbursement.
The number of population, the population of the staff is at the moment is over 2,000. Is it 2,320? Oh, 2,000 over 2,000 staff. Though we just finished the last section of our semester, so most of our students have graduated.
Meanwhile, the acting chairman of the House Committee on Healthcare Services, Honorable Basi Alina, says the Nigerian healthcare sector continues to face significant challenges, including poor funding, rising cost, and high mortality rate. Speaking at a public hearing organized by the committee at the National Assembly complex, Akiba emphasized the urgent need for reforms to address the issues and improve healthcare delivery in Nigeria. The hearing focused on 4 key bills: amendments to the National Residency Training Act 2018, the National Insurance Authority Act 2021, and the National Tobacco Control Act, as well as the establishment of the Institute of Healthcare Service Administrators of Nigeria. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, represented by Honorable Obodo Mitima, said despite annual appropriations, healthcare funding in Nigeria remains grossly inadequate compared to other countries. He noted that President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda prioritizes healthcare reforms and partnerships with the private sector to revitalize the system.
I wish to assure you all that as legislators and members of the Committee on Healthcare Services, we are conscious of our constitutional and legislative responsibility towards the people. We are at all times ready to partner with relevant stakeholders and support any genuine effort required to improve the healthcare system in Nigeria. On a final note, as we prepare to meticulously study and deal with this bill, I wish all of us successful and fruitful deliberations.
It is no longer news that despite the committed efforts, the health sector has sadly over the years faced several challenges associated with outbound medical tourism, emigration of skilled healthcare workers, poor salaries, and insufficient budgetary allocation.
I think the only thing that will help us to have our demographic stratification of the citizens of Nigeria is to have a strong, all-inclusive, comprehensive national social security register.
There have been several calls for the review of the Nigerian Constitution from stakeholders across all walks of life. This is as a result of what many describe as the challenges faced by the 3 arms of government in the discharge of the constitutional duties. In this report, our correspondent Dele Fason takes a look at the clamor for constitutional review and its effect on the economy. The report.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, had on February 26, 2024, set up a committee to review the 1999 Constitution with a promise to ensure it does not suffer the fate of previous exercises. Some economists and political scientists who supported the move said the 1999 Constitution is inimical to our growth as a nation.
A constitution is a set of laws, rules, through which a nation is governed. So if the rules, laws that are documented to guide the nation are not appropriate, if they are inimical to our collective growth, then there's a problem. And that is why there has been the 1999 Constitution as...
Economy is one aspect of the issues that affect society, but economics is so fundamental because it's the substructure, the foundation upon which every other sector is built upon. And so if, as it truly is, there are some defects in the way our economic system, or what the rules and regulations, especially with respect to appropriation of resources and the management of the resources, is not favoring development of all sectors of the economy, especially regions that are known to have resources.
On the nature of the laws in the 1999 Constitution, the economics said since the laws are not people-friendly, a constitutional review will benefit the citizens.
There are so many laws as contained in our Constitution that are inhibiting and limiting and reducing our potentials for growth. Like for instance, I've just cited that aspect of resource centralization, the aspect of the Constitution that says all revenue collected at state level, at every of our states, should be centralized in Abuja.
But there are some laws that have not been very fair to all sections of the country. For instance, we've been talking about resource management, we've been talking about fiscal federalism, we've been talking about resource control. From the military era down to the present, we have a situation where the government and the center is taking all the resources to himself and simply giving crumbs to the regions, determining who gets what and how.
Meanwhile, Nigerians will be watching with keen interest and hoping that the constitutional review process meet the yearnings and aspirations of the citizens. From Delta State, Telefason reporting for Galaxy TV News.
The Northern Elders Forum has strongly opposed the proposed tax reform bill, describing it as a threat to national cohesion and regional development. At its second biannual meeting held in Abuja, the forum's Board of Trustees, chaired by convener Professor Emeritus Ango Abdullahi, condemned the bill's perceived discriminatory and anti-northern provisions. In a statement released by Professor Ango Abdullahi Khan, convener Northern Elders Forum criticized the manner in which the bill was introduced, citing a lack of consultation with critical stakeholders and exclusion of members of the National Economic Council from the decision-making process. According to the statement, the tax reform bill in its current form is poorly packaged and conceived in bad faith, adding that its implementation would undermine unity and economic stability in the region. The forum also expressed disappointment with northern representatives in the National Assembly for their silence on the issue, calling it a conspiratorial connivance against the region's strategic interest. Beyond the tax debate, the NEF addressed the worsening education crisis in the north, highlighting the alarming statistic that about 60% of students in the region have been unable to return to their higher institutions due to rising tuition fees and transportation costs. Oyo State government has said about 15,000 candidates will sit for a forthcoming computer-based test for recruitment into different cadres in the civil service. The chairman, Oyo State Civil Service Commission, Alhaji Kamuru Abiodun, disclosed this while addressing journalists in Ibadan. He said approval was given by Governor Seyi Makinde for about 900 officers to be recruited into over 60 cadres across MDAs in the mainstream of the civil service. Speaking further, the chairman said out of 22,235 applications received by the commission, 15,000 were qualified to sit for the CBT. He said the recruitment is unprecedented in the history of Oyo State, as there has never been a time in the last 2 decades when such recruitment was done, as it has always been on cadre basis. Consequently, he said similar cadres have been grouped to sit at the same centers, stressing that applicants have been divided into 2 groups of examination for competence.
22,000 applications were successfully submitted into the state government job portal, out of which roughly 15,000, which is about 67%, were qualified for recruitment to the cadres for which they have applied, to lift many youth out of poverty to prosperity with employment of thousands. I wish to appeal to all the applicants attending the CBT to please be good as ambassadors of their different families